Hello and what's up guys. In this video we are diving straight into a serious twist shaking Nigeria this morning. A top diplomat, Ambassador Joe Keshi, has dropped a bombshell on national TV, saying some of the people on President Tinubu's new ambassadorial list should be in prison and not being rewarded with powerful foreign postings. He reveals how career diplomats who have trained for 20 to 25 years are being pushed aside, while politicians, failed former governors, and people with heavy allegations are being sent out to represent Nigeria. Even opposition voices say some nominees may be rejected by foreign countries because of their past records. And guys, it gets even more shocking. Names like former INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu and the ex-NIA boss are causing serious uproar, with questions about credibility, fairness, and Nigeria's global image. Guys, I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
Welcome back. It's still the morning brief right here on Channels Television, and we've had quite a conversation during our first segment. We make progress now to another subject matter equally important. What's in a name? What's in the names on President Tinubu's ambassadorial list? Let's get an education also about, the career ambassador and the non-career ambassador. And joining us on this particular segment, we have Ambassador Joe Keshi, who joins us this morning. He's a former diplomat and former permanent secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He joins us virtually. We also have Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi. He's a spokesperson, African Democratic Congress. Both gentlemen join us virtually on the program this morning. Before we get to the views of the opposition, let's get perhaps an education first from you, Ambassador Joe Keshi. What's the difference between a career diplomat and a non-career diplomat?
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning. A career diplomat is an officer recruited into the foreign service at a relatively young age and who grows through the system, to the top of his chosen career, and who, as a preparation for the higher post, is made to serve in a number of diplomatic missions, so that when eventually, he becomes an ambassador, he's already very familiar with the terrain. He has all what it takes to be a credible representative of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or any country. On the other hand, you have the career officers, non-career officers. These are often taken from the political parties or taken from the public sector or from anywhere. And let me say that nobody is against the appointment of non-career ambassadors. In fact, a number of countries, it's a mixed bag. They appoint non-career and they appoint career officers. But where it is becoming clear that the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is being left out of this appointment. Officers of the ministry, those who have spent the last 20, 25 years of their lives, in the diplomatic service. They've been trained, they've been taken through all kinds of posting in preparation to be able to represent Nigeria credibly well. And just at the peak of their career, they are replaced, by politicians. I'm not too sure that is the right thing to do. In fact, last night I was on another channel and I suggested I made two suggestions. Number one, I said that, look, if this is what we want to do with Nigeria, we could as well begin to appoint politicians as chief of staff of the military establishment, because this is exactly what is being done. But if you think that is ridiculous to start with, this is also the appointment of the people, who by any standard have no business being in the diplomatic service. That's how ridiculous it is. I'm comfortable with some names on the list. But the truth of the matter is that the bulk of the people on the non-career list, it's a bit, it's a bit disturbing. And this is the kind of people we want to represent Nigeria. You have people who, if justice has prevailed and if this country has been run properly and the rules of the game are obeyed, they actually should be cooling their heels in the walls of the prison and not being sent out as ambassadors. You have people who have governed their states. They were absolute failures. They showed no leadership when they led their states, and the governors who took over from them are struggling to repair the damage they've done to their states. Those are the kind of people you are being rewarded, either because, they have helped you to destroy other political parties and the rest of it. No. Look, as far back as the 1960s, when the diplomatic service was established, those who established the diplomatic service, particularly the Prime Minister, was very clear in his mind about the kind of diplomatic service he wanted for Nigeria. He wanted a very competent foreign service. He wanted an independent foreign service. He wanted officers of the foreign service to be well-trained, to be able to compete favorably with their peers all over the world. And the first generation of those recruited into the foreign service, and for a long time, met the criteria until the politicians came and started what they are doing today. And the second point I made was to appeal to the president. I hear there is another list that will come out. I don't know if it's true. I beg the president, for goodness sake, for the sake of the officers in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs today, to please ensure that the next list contains no other names but the people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. These officers are demoralized. No, tomorrow somebody will accuse them of being unpatriotic. But the truth of the matter is that they are disappointed after being prepared. They've gone through, the training and preparing themselves, and at the heights where they are supposed to be appointed. You now think that they are not qualified to represent the country. You have a set that have retired that have retired 2 years ago. All these officers, as Nigerians today, are very bitter, and they think that Nigeria has done it to them.
If I get you correctly, you're also saying that those who have trained and served in Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs should have rightly been appointed to even the non-career ambassadorial roles. Let's take it to Mr. Abdullahi, a member of the opposition who sort of agrees with the last bit of your comment. I've read your statement, Mr. Abdullahi, and part of it says that the names appointed on that list, are a settlement of political IOUs, without quoting you copiously now. What names particularly, which names does your party have reservations with?
Be careful to analyze getting in this. I when country has this person that are coming be will have ourselves for than 2 years of an administration, and as to how we also not had ambassadors in any mission in the world. That's quite preceded, and in the of Nigeria, not even the civil war. They do express this kind of absence in diplomatic. No, let's tell at the time that Nigeria is facing kind of diplomatic issues that we're seeing all over the world. Civil contacts are currently with us and are asking a lot of questions about what's going on in Nigeria. I'm just into the interview before you just in. Been saying a lot of you that Nigeria have a voice in room when this kind of position has been taken in other countries world. Now, it took you 12 years to have ambassadors. This is the you can do is to seek an opportunity to settle the party members who are waiting for appointments in the last years. It's quite fortunate indeed. And the point we are keen. We are particularly concerned with the appointment of Professor Mamuya, the media pastor and airman, because when someone because that kind of appointment, like so
if you can hear me,
tends to give pressure.
Your connection, the audio is not really coming through well. We've tried to endure. So maybe if you can switch things up a bit with the internet or your device, I'm sure they'll help you backstage. But let's go back to Ambassador. While we try to reconnect with Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi and get a sense of maybe those names in particular, what does this then mean? Because these names will go to the Senate. We understand that these names will naturally pass through Senate, understanding the composition. But what will this mean for Nigeria's image, if indeed they are eventually deployed, those names you have issues with? Because some have said that for the non-career ambassadors, their job is not hard. It's just to shake hands, take pictures, go for dinner events, and all of that. So for you, how do you see this impacting the image of Nigeria internationally, particularly for those countries that were mentioned, important allies of Nigeria?
You just said something that I always like to respond to when you said that diplomats just go around and shake hands, drink coffee, and probably drink wine. Yes, we do. There's no doubt about that. But you should also remember that nobody compliments us when we burn the midnight candles, and we stay in, conference halls till 4 a.m. in the morning. We travel, extensively, to represent the country, and it carries all the risk that you can imagine. So, for your information, no, diplomats do not only drink coffee or drink wine and brandy and the rest of them. They really do some hard job in terms of representing the country as best as they can. And I do not get Mr. Abdullah's, what he was saying before. But I heard him talk about something about the civil war. Look, it was the quality. It was the quality of those that Gawan appointed during the civil war crisis, during that period, and the fact that that was also the time that, the country diplomatic service expanded. You cannot be claiming to want to be a leader or to be a leader, within the global system, to be a spokesperson for Africa, and you do not have credible elements, that people that can be respected, people that foreign countries will look upon with so much great respect because they know their pedigree. They have the history of what they've done in their respective countries. So when you have people who, again, I repeat myself, if the Nigerian legal system had worked very well and there had been no, these famous join the APC and your sins are forgiven, some of those on that list shouldn't be on that list to start with. So for your information, the diplomats do a great job. They have been trained. They have been prepared. I remember my first ambassador on post, giving me a lot of assignments. And sometimes when they're too heavy on me and I launch a complaint, he would say to me, Joe, it's not when you become an ambassador you learn how to be an ambassador. You start learning how to be an ambassador the very day you enter the service. To be an ambassador demands a great experience, which officers in the Ministry of, it required calm, it required tact, it required so many things. You want to be, look, we are a country full of talent. And when we are sending people out, for goodness sake, we should send out our best 11. We should send out our best 11. And there are people all over the country that you saw the Tribune editorial, for example, the way it analyzed it and so on. And that's a very good editorial to start with. We need to be fair to all parts of the country. But for me, my major concern coming on this is to, again, appeal to the president that there are officers eminently qualified in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that the next list, if there's going to be another list, should be the names of those officers. And this debate for me will be over. Now, whatever others that have been appointed, whatever they do, well, it's the country who will suffer. You know the popular saying, okay? We've appointed ambassadors. We have made if they go well, fine. If they don't go well, the country bears the consequences of their failure. But I maintain that officers that are in the diplomatic service should have been the first consideration before you even begin to think of politicians. And if you want to take politicians, which I'm not opposed to, and by the way, I have said it, there are a couple of names that I'm very, very comfortable with on the list of political appointees, but there are some that that I'm disturbed about.
All right, Ambassador, maybe I'll come back to you if you want to. I know that diplomats like you, Ambassador, you work with tact and diplomacy. I don't know whether you would like to mention those names, exactly the names you're not comfortable with or not. But let me take you to Mr. Abdullahi. Let's try again whether Mr. Abdullahi's network will connect better this time. All right, Mr. Abdullahi, in continuation of your thought, because we couldn't hear exactly what you were saying, so we had to come back to the ambassador. So in continuation of your thought, in addition to it, walk us through, now the president has made his decision, at least this first set, based on the constitutional powers given to him, but it's now left to the National Assembly, the Senate this time, to finally ratify or reject what the president has done. Well, the APC is in majority. What do you make? What do you see happening?
Thank you. I hope you can hear me better now.
Yes, we can hear you better now. Yes.
Okay, I mean, you said it's left for the Senate to do the necessary thing. The Senate is not going to do anything. I mean, this Senate is going to just rubber stamp the list brought by the president. I mean, I had Ambassador Keshi talk about individuals on that list who should ordinarily be in prison. That is true. Without mentioning names, we know them. We know those who have EFC cases. So when you send it, because don't forget, the Senate screening of these ambassador nominees is just the first stage. I mean, when you post them to specific countries, those countries will carry out their own screening. And given the situation that Nigeria is at the moment, they are going to screen the hell out of them. So you will find yourself in a situation where some of these ambassadors, after being posted, will probably be rejected and sent back home because those countries will feel they cannot work with them. So it's not just about what we do to ourselves. It's also how we expose ourselves and make ourselves vulnerable to the rest of the world. So it's quite unfortunate what the president has done. And if it's true what Ambassador Keshi said, that there's going to be a second list. I mean, if there's going to be a second list, why don't you use the opportunity of the first list to do the best posting? Why wait for the second list to do the right thing? I mean, because if you had opportunity after 2.5 years to make an ambassadorial appointment, and this is the best you can do, and I see just as an opportunity to reward political loyalists, So I was making a point earlier about the appointment of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We take part with that. We can appoint someone who was supposed to be in
Oh dear.
You point him to a few studies that appoint
Mr. Abdullahi. Pardon me, sir. I'm going to have to interrupt you again. You may need to perhaps change your device again so that we can hear you better. We're beginning to have difficulty hearing you. Perhaps it's network. We'll return to Mr. Abdullahi. Let me come to you, Ambassador Keshi. Mr. Abdullahi was talking about raising concerns about a particular name, that's the former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. I'd like you to speak to that because it seems to be coming from, different quarters, specifically because of the agency that he represented, not just the 2023 presidential elections that he conducted that turned out to be controversial, but because of the nature of INEC itself, that is supposed to be a non-partisan organization, an electoral umpire that is supposed to be biased. How does the appointment of a former INEC chairman look on a non-career ambassadorial list that sometimes, draws pull from, politicians? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, another name I'd like you to speak to, which the civil society is drawing our attention to, is that of former director of the NIA, Mr. Ayo Oke, who also had served as a Commonwealth envoy. He brings professional expertise to the room, but there are concerns that he was linked with corruption allegations back in 2017. So what are your thoughts on these two names?
Were I to advise the president, my simple advice on the former INEC chairman, who, by the way, I have heard some of his, whom I know very well. He's a fine gentleman to start with. Never mind his tenure in INEC. I have no doubt that if it was in different circumstances, he will certainly fit in among those that I will back any day to be an ambassador. He's intelligent, and his classmates and friends, confirm that. So and he has a demeanor, the courage and the mindset and the intellectual capacity to probably be. But coming so soon, immediately after he left, INEC, I think the president should have just tallied a while, but that's the president's prerogative to do, to make the appointment, and whatever consequences we suffer from that, or whatever criticism that is happening all over the place, I think the biller should admit that they brought this upon them, upon themselves. As regard Ambassador Ayo Oke, look, I'll tell you this. I want to say this with all sincerity. Ambassador Ayo Oke is one of our finest officers. And this is why Ambassador Ayo Oke was appointed the DG NIA. Ambassador Ayo-Oke's removal, never mind the whole noise that was made about money being stored somewhere. Every security agency stores money somewhere. I believe that Ayo-Oke was removed as a result of conspiracy between his office, between the villa and EFCC. Look, if you go back to what happened during that period, there is an esprit de corps, there's a synergy among security agencies. Ayo-Oke, as DG NIA, called, I think it was Magu or somebody in EFCC, and said, look, I'm coming to explain to you why we have this money there. The man ignored him and sent his boys in to do some rapid. Listen, there's nowhere in the world where another security agency will treat another security agency like, you know, it was treated and Ayo-Oke lost his job. So I believe it was a conspiracy. That notwithstanding, I'll say those who know Ambassador Ayo-Oke will tell you that he is eminently qualified to be an ambassador. The scandal notwithstanding, I sincerely hope that those who will consider, yeah, the scandal means a lot to start with, because he had tarnished the image this gentleman has built over the years as one of Nigeria's finest, best officers in the diplomatic service. So if the president has not considered him and the president thinks that he can push his appointment through, I have no problem with that. As I said before, there are some names I'm comfortable with. Look, when you look at someone like the former deputy governor of Lagos State, Pedro, whom I've met a couple of times, I think he has all what it takes to be an ambassador. When you look at Erelu Adebayo, I sat on the board of UBA with Erelu Adebayo, and I would recommend her any day to any post, even to be a minister. She's sound, she's articulate, and she will make a great representative of the Federal Republic of Nigeria anywhere in the world. And, you know, but there are some that, you know, really beats me. When you have, this is a country with so many talents, with so many, all over the place. If the president is looking for those who really want to, there are so many officers who left the service because the appointment was not made early enough. It would have been fair to consider those people first and bring them back to the service, because they waited for 2 years, 3 years to be appointed ambassadors, and they had to retire without being made ambassadors.
Right.
For goodness sake, they should have been fair to this set of officers.
It's a lot of things together.
Political. Look,
pardon me, Ambassador.
What is Jimoh Ibrahim looking for in the diplomatic service to start with? And things like that. Does it mean that anybody who loses an election or who leaves political appointment can't do anything else but remain in government forever in Nigeria?
Well, he's a senator.
I'll tell you, if you permit me just to say a few words, let me just tell you a story. Just to tell you the difference of the kind of people and their character.
Ambassador, if you can do that in 30 seconds,
2009.
Yeah.
2009, we're looking for ambassador to go to Washington. And we approached Professor Bolaji Akinyemi. We approached Fola Adeola. These two gentlemen turned us down. Professor Akinyemi told me plainly, he said, Joe, listen, I was a foreign minister at the age of 30-something. What do you want me to go and do now? No, Joe, I can't be an ambassador at this point. Those are the kind of people I respect. And today you have failed politicians, failed governors, and they are all gladly jumping over the place like toads.
Right.
That they are going to become ambassadors, representing this country that claims to be the leader and the spokesperson of the African continent, and you are putting in people who do not even have the capacity.
Well, Ambassador, if I may come in now, so we can take Mr. Abdullahi's statements, but you've made quite important points. In fact, you've mentioned some of those names, the former INEC chairman, you've mentioned Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. But Mr. Abdullahi, what other names raise concerns for you? For some people, they've raised issues about Chifemi Fani-Kayede's name, Reno Mokri. I think the ambassador also referenced the former governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ogwanyi. So what are the names that really raise issues for you? And if the president had a chance, you might want him to review those names. If you can do that in less than 2 minutes, Mr. Abdullahi.
I hope you can hear me now. I hope it's better now.
Yes, I hope it stays this way too.
Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
It's better now. Just go ahead.
I mean, Ambassador Keshi has mentioned, I mean, apart from Professor Yakubu that we are concerned about, and also, what's his name? I mentioned the name of Jimo Ibrahim, and who was a senator, and I mean, you know who that is. Then you mentioned Femi Fani-Kayode, my very good boss. Sometimes I wonder whether, when I saw that list and I saw him on the list, I wonder what he's doing there. But you see, like I said, I take some time to reduce this to individuals and personalities, but taking all together. I mean, I look at that list, only 15% of them out of 30 something are career ambassadors, and the rest are just political hangers or political jobbers who have done things for the president and one way or the other. Daughter of Oji, that at the time that this country needs a strongest voice in the world, that's the best we can do. It's unfortunate that that's to come to this, but it's what it is.
In this discussion, the central issue raised by Ambassador Joe Keshi and opposition spokesperson Bolaji Abdullahi revolves around the integrity, credibility, and long-term implications of President Tinubu's newly released ambassadorial list, while acknowledging that every administration has the constitutional right to appoint both career and non-career envoys. The strongest concern repeated throughout the conversation is the observable sidelining of trained, long-serving officers of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Many of these officers have spent decades preparing for ambassadorial roles, only to be overlooked at the peak of their careers. Ambassador Keshi notes that although some names on the list indeed possess the competence and pedigree required for high-level diplomatic assignments, several others fall short of the standards expected of Nigeria's representatives abroad. He warns that if the rule of law were consistently upheld, some nominees would be facing accountability rather than receiving prestigious postings. This, he argues, raises difficult questions about the message Nigerians convey to international partners, particularly at a time when the country seeks stronger global influence. The concerns extend beyond domestic perception. As Mr. Abdullahi explains, ambassadorial screening does not end at Nigeria's National Assembly. Host countries conduct their own rigorous background checks, and given Nigeria's current global image, some nominees may risk rejection abroad. Both speakers emphasize that diplomacy requires individuals with competence, character, and the ability to command respect, not merely political loyalty. The controversy is further amplified by specific names that have attracted public debate. These include former INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu, whose appointment many believe is premature, and former NIA Director General Ayo Oke, who previously faced allegations that, according to Ambassador Keshi, may have been the result of institutional rivalry. While some nominees are widely regarded as capable and reputable, others have prompted renewed calls for merit-based selections and a recommitment to the foundational principles upon which Nigeria's foreign service was originally built. Ultimately, the conversation underscores a broader national concern. How Nigeria chooses its envoy is not merely an internal political decision. It shapes global perception, affects international relationships, and communicates the values the country wishes to uphold. As this debate continues, Nigerians will be watching closely to see how the Senate handles the approvals and whether future ambassadorial lists will address the deep frustration expressed by career diplomats who feel increasingly marginalized. If you have been following these developments, we do like to hear your thoughts. Do you believe political appointments threaten or weaken Nigeria's diplomatic standing? Share your opinions in the comment section below. For more credible reporting and thoughtful analysis on national issues, kindly subscribe to Naija Star News, turn on notifications, and stay tuned for our continuing coverage. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.